Hello there. Thank you once again for staying with us on Channels Television. Welcome to NewsNight. I'm Neota Egbe, and as I always say, it's a pleasure to bring you a fresh conversation. This one has to do with you. You might wonder what I'm talking about. But let's just get into it immediately. Let's hear what your feedback is from our previous conversation.
It was an informative and eye-opening session. As a diaspora Nigerian, it would be nice to see what the MD and CEO of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria says come to reality. Most Nigerians out here are interested. Kudos to the MD. My father's first house in 1955 in Surulere was funded by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, and he was paying back monthly till he finished his payment, but now nothing is working. If you send an email to them from now till the next 10 years, they will not respond. Only God knows who they are tending to.
After a back and forth, conversations back and forth as regards who indeed is elected into office, the Nigerian Constitution says that it is the political party that is elected, and the individual is just a representative or one that is sponsored by that party. So what happens when the party that is sponsoring the individual is shaky? What happens if it's not standing on a good footing? Would it be able to birth the kind of leadership that is desired? The guest in our program today feels that the biggest problem of leadership in Nigeria is not necessarily the leader as much as it's the process that brought that leader. That means internal political party crisis. He says, unless the internal politics within the political parties is taken care of, we'll continue to have issues with the kind of leaders that are produced. My guest thinks the parties need to sit down and clean up. Otherwise, even the gains from the Supreme Court judgment that the local governments be autonomous would be lost, and then we'll go back again to the grind. Is that what it ought to be? NewsNight sat down for a conversation with the national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Chief Edozie Njoku, who talks to us about how internal party crisis and lack of democracy affects the leader who is elected into office. Chief Edozie Njoku, it's a pleasure to have you on NewsNight, and thank you for sitting with us today.
It's also my pleasure, too. It's my pleasure.
You are considered a quintessential politician. As in, you've been there, you've seen it all, you've done it all. Maybe the only thing you've not contested for is president. But let's just walk us through the politics of Nigeria, or Nigerian politics. What, in your assessment, what's it like since you came in?
It's a really, really big question. But I will start by, you called me a quintessential politician, and I've seen it all, done it all. And I want to explain a bit on that aspect. Is that I started my politics in Anambra State. I'm from Imo State, but I started my politics in Anambra State in NRC. At that point in time in Anambra State, I'm sure everybody knows that SDP were the governor was from SDP. And then we had a council chairman in Onitsha North who was a Chuksana. He's dead now. And to show you how powerful councils were, NRC in Anambra State really depended, and all the powers were coming out of the council there, up to the extent that I hosted Tufa. He was the one that he stayed. I provided the house he stayed in 1993 as a very young politician, in my late 20s, or 29. And it was a wonderful period. After that, I contested. I became the first vice national chairman of APGA in 2002. Before then, I was the state publicity secretary for NCP and under Donna Tibet in Anambra State. After that, I was also in PDP when PDP was formed. there were different people who were, what did they call it then in PDP? We were called, there was a name we had in PDP then. And from there, I ran, and I was a federal house candidate for APOGA in 2002. Ran under P2B for federal house. We know how that ended. We know what happened, all the rigging, how we were rigged out. I also ran for national chairman of APOGA 2006. I ran for national chairman of APOGA in 2015. And I also ran locally in 2018-19 that brought me in here today as a national chairman. So if you say that's a quintessential politician, then maybe it's a quintessential politician.
But look at it this way. You went from state politics under SDP, or more like NRC.
Yeah.
NRC, state politics, national politics.
Yeah.
APGA, state politics. PDP, national politics. State politics.
NCPN, state politics.
Back to APGA, state and national politics. So one could say that you've more or less like gone round.
Particularly in the party.
Particularly in the party.
As a party man.
Yeah, yes, you've gone round as a party man. Yeah, you had a short stint, but trying to find your
feet. The National Assembly.
Okay, but let's look at this. And I asked you a question, having called you what I called. I said, how would you describe Nigeria's politics? Is it a politics of the people, or a politics for the politicians?
I feel that I feel as if I'm the one that gave you that question,
wow.
But I didn't. And the school of thought I come from is the politics of the grassroots. And if you can appreciate it, as I've said, I've come in from the local government, state, played more of that, played it in the party. And politics is a politics of Nigeria should be more at the local level. But when we are in Abuja here, it seems as if politics is a national thing. It's not. Most people, before the local government elections were removed and local government chairmen were removed, literally. When I use the word removed, it's not a good word. But when governors hijacked, because they really did, they hijacked the power of the third tier of government. Before that was done, politics was so sweet at the local level. Many people didn't come to Abuja. Hardly anyone came to the state. Most people stayed at the local level. I had three friends, one called Okearo from Abatete in Anambra, Chuksana and myself. We physically brought the whole hierarchy of NRC into Anambra State, into Onitsha, because we were playing local politics. We were playing politics at the local level. Mm-hmm. And we played it effectively at that age that brought the presidential candidate to spend 2 nights in my house in Onitsha as a local politician. Mm. But those things have been removed now from politics. It's no longer local. What politics is now is that if you can't play it here in Abuja, you're not playing politics, which is very, very sad.
So this leads me to our conversation. Let's get into this conversation. Right?
Yeah.
The matter of local government, you said politics is local.
Very local.
So maybe the current administration is thinking in that direction when they went after local government autonomy up to the Supreme Court. Do you think that judgment of the Supreme Court, it's been commended, it's been appreciated, but is it what is needed to get politics back to the local?
To galvanize the whole system. Governance and politics lost direction in Nigeria when governors took up too much power in politics. I give you an example. I'm in APGA. Every court in Nigeria has literally said I'm national chairman. From Obiano to Soludo, they've refused. And if I was not very committed in what I'm doing, they would have swept me under the carpet and thrown me into River Niger. Because they are governors. And it shouldn't be like that. You should allow the people to exercise their own franchise, to be able to do. Can you ever believe, or have you ever heard before that a National Assembly will now pass a law saying that the National Assembly are the ones to approve who will contest local government elections? Odd. It's the power of governors who have tried to masculate the local politics. And thank God that I was about to say federal government, but let's say the Supreme Court. But federal government must have also put their weight slightly towards that to make sure that that third tier of government are allowed to fly and be free.
But is that what is needed? Seeing that even at this point in time,
yes, that's what's
the states, the state governors still have to inaugurate the state electoral commissions that will determine who wins local government elections or monitor and
or conduct
the local government elections. Would politics really be local, or would it be based on the influence of the state chief executive?
It will still be the influence of the state chief executive. Well,
so how do we get the politics back to the
Well, you see, I think there are processes at play at the moment to see whether we can now, it's a stage-by-stage thing. If you look at the Apoga issue, we've been in this court process for about 5 years, and I always told everybody, relax, it's a process. Once you're able to stay within the process and you don't go collecting money from those people who want to influence those things, it works out properly. It will always come out right. People say Supreme Court are corrupt, Court of Appeal, they're not corrupt really like that. It's we politicians who are corrupting the system. We are corrupting the system. And we always look for someone else to say they are corrupt. But we corrupt the system as politicians. Very sad.
So is there no way around this? When you say you politicians are the ones corrupting the system.
I started by telling you that...
Can the system cleanse itself?
The system will eventually... So we've started a process whereby we're going back to the autonomy of local governments. I told you a story in 1993, how we as local government players, right word. We had the chairman in the local government. The governor was an SDP governor. We were not in SDP. So NRC hierarchy will come towards the government that they had in the state. And the biggest local government then was Onitsha North, who had some revenue. So we as players in the local government were big boys, as per se. Can you imagine a big boy in a local government now, even the states? No, it's not. But we were in the local government to attract the leadership and to final state for 2 days in my place. It's a known thing. And you see that if we could gradually retrace our footsteps and give autonomy, because those are our founding fathers or those who brought in that there should be 3 tiers of government, national, state, and local. We're not stupid. To be able now for the governors to now hold on and say, we'll conduct the election, we'll decide. And look at what happened in Anambra. The very minute the governor felt that things had moved in another direction, he stands up to say, well, the party will no longer bring, I will decide, House of Assembly decide. And the House of Assembly need to look at themselves and ask themselves, are you really there to rubber stamp everything? Or are you there with integrity to say to the governor, no, my brother, we can't do such a stupid thing.
Well, you see, that takes again back to the Constitution. 3 tiers of government, 3 arms of government. There are those who argue that the separation between the 3 arms of government is lost in Nigeria's democracy as we speak.
Why?
Because you just said it here. The state assembly is now having to determine, the governor said, I will decide and the state assembly will decide. That's what you said. So what happens to the independence of the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive? It looks as if it's gone.
You are now preaching my word. I totally believe that internal democracy in political parties are so useful. People like me who stand up and say, you go to your ward, you go to your local government, you win to become a House of Assembly member, we'll screen you, and we'll find out someone who is eligible to become a true legislator. But the governor would not want that if he is a governor who is imperial, who wants to be king of all, who wants to be the only man on the block. If he's a governor who wants things to be done well, bring out the House of Assembly, however you want to do it. Let them be a check on me. I'd rather you check me and I do the right thing than me bringing people who I could impose myself on. And once the party is strong enough to stand to a governor and say, my brother, I no agree this one, then you start having good people in the House of Assembly, good people in the National Assembly, good senators.
So are you implying that the problem here is the party itself?
It's the weakness of the party. And why most governors, the governors in Ghana have been fighting me? Because I'm naturally strong. I'll stand up to what I believe. if you are saying something that is not quite right, also, I no agree. So that's that fight you've seen for 5 years. And they're fighting it with their life. They say they've given bribe to Supreme Court now. They've gotten the attorney general. There's all this is to stop me because I'll say what you're doing is wrong. You can't go and get the House of Assembly to vote for it to say that they are the ones to bring out candidates from the party. The right is right and wrong is wrong. And as long as you want to do things wrong, we will always have that clash.
Is this the reason why democracy looks as if it's not working in Nigeria?
That's the reason why.
Because the parties are
faulty. Once the party starts becoming straight, even one becomes straight, good people will come in there and start contesting, the others have to change. I'll give you an example. In Anambra State, when Ngige came in, we were fighting with him in APGA, and Ngige came in as governor. Ngige started building roads. Immediately, Peter came in, he got roads done. There were no roads in the southeast. As soon as the governor of Enugu State came, he started doing roads. And roads became, you had to, as a governor, roads must be good. And once things are done well in one party, if APGA comes up now and stands straight, PDP has got to stand straight, unless they will lose out. APC has got to stand straight. But those powers, like a governor, will want to be that he is in charge, so that he will say, if this man can do it in PDP, why can't I do it in APGA? But you can't do it in APGA because I'm the national chairman. We must do things right.
Is there a constitution that holds?
Yes, we have a very solid constitution.
So is it wrong then, or is it that then these people you keep mentioning are not reading or do not know the constitution?
In Nigeria, naturally, it is said who pays the piper, who pays the detects the tone. And normally, Nigerians have been bent. Their arms are so bent that hunger is everywhere. That once you are the one that's bringing out those change, people are bowing to you. But there are some people, like I was brought up in England. I went to a very good boarding school. I thank my father for that, for sending me to a sound boarding school. I have a sound family background. I have a successful family, so I'm not poor. So I'm able to stand up and say, no, I no agree. But if my next meal dependent, I might be able to say, God, let me agree small so that my children go chop.
The role of the membership of the party.
Yep.
How does the party bring in members?
A wonderful question. It is open. The membership of, like we say, APGA is not, people say it's an Igbo party. It's not, it's a national party. But the Southeasterners have a big affection, love, what's the word, for APGA. If you go into the market, you see a woman with some carbon kind, this our own. They love the party. The membership is open to anyone. And most people in Igbo land will tell you that this is just the way CPC was so, Buhari was so popular with CPC, or Tinubu was so popular with AD, then ACN. It's the same way Igbos are they naturally love their party. With all the scrambles, people say the Southeasterners have gone to iPod or they went. No, they didn't. They're just looking for something to hold on to as that regional base. As soon as you have a political party that is sound, that they can believe in, they will come there to see whether they can use that to engage the rest of the people. Because I believe that for you to get power, you must engage the other regions. You must engage the Hausa people. You must engage the Yoruba people. You must engage everyone. You can't just go up and say, it's my turn, I want power, I have to. No. You must talk with them because there's total distrust in this country. If you are from the north, you have some distrust from the south. If you are a Muslim or you're a Christian, you have, and we're all the same people. But as long as we are now able to communicate, because within our party, these new executives in APGA are all, the executives are from everywhere. We have the whole exec from every state. We're able to now talk with each other and say, listen, all we want is peace. All we want is to acquire power. And to acquire power, we need to engage other people. And that's, you will see in the next 6 months to 9 months, how much attraction APGA has created for itself.
Well, again, I'll take you back to the question of membership.
Okay.
You said membership is open to all.
It's open to all.
Do they pay dues? Is there
Yeah,
membership?
there are little stipends. So, like 100 naira or something for your card when you get your card.
I do know that growing up, my mother was in NPN.
Okay.
And They were paying dues. They had membership cards, and
which
that was
I believe
and that was how the parties were
able to fund their movement.
How do you fund the party?
From the
membership.
From the membership dues.
So why is it then that it appears as though a few people have more power? Is it that you're no longer funding, the political parties in Nigeria are no longer funding themselves from the dues, and they are looking for extras from certain individuals who now feel like they have a right to lead?
I love your question so much, and I looked at you twice when you went to that question. And the reason why I know you are quite in, because your mother actually, you say so you are quite aware of. You see, Nigeria has become a place whereby things are no longer the way they were. When your mom was paying her dues, and those dues were okay, things have gone haywire. People now drink champagnes that are worth 1 million naira. People now drive cars that are 500 million and all. And in a society when we are slightly inadequate, we use certain things to make ourselves, lift ourselves up. If we're less educated or less whatever, we need to use things to prop ourselves up to look better. So most people in Nigeria are using different things to prop themselves up. And those monies are things we're not paying for because there are no jobs. Business, there are hardly any, most jobs. Things are so expensive. So the governor who is now getting allocations, if he's not a true progressive, I'm choosing my words,
Democrat,
or you know what I mean, then he will use those monies in a very negative way. That if you don't play my turn, these lasses will not come to you.
You see, I asked this question, it's saying that by our constitution, the governor, the senator, the House of Representatives, the president is born on the platform of a party.
Exactly.
In fact, the constitution says it is the party that is elected. The person is just representing the party.
Yeah.
But if the party has no values, can the party hold that individual that is representing
hold him to
accountable?
That's what we're trying to do in Africa. I'll give you an example. Like in ANC in South Africa, you know that the sitting president was removed by the party and brought in another person to represent them because he's standing on the platform of the party. No election, no court. They just said no, Becky, and this Zuma came in. Parties must have that power to be able to hold these people accountable. The reverse is the same now, and that's the confusion you see everywhere. The confusion in Nigeria is because the internal democracies of the party are no longer there to checkmate that thing you said you would do in your manifesto. You wake up, you say you're going to do this, you say you're going to do, as soon as you get it, you now start buying the people in the party, rather than doing those things that the people voted for you.
But I thought the party manifesto, the manifesto should come from the party.
It should come from the party, but when you're running an election as a governor, you are the one that comes out to tell us what you really want to do as a governor. Mm-hmm. And then if it's in line with our manifesto as a party, then we'll say, wow, the party can now sponsor you to go to the general public. But as soon as these people get down there, it changes. That the party should now be the ones, you now become the leader of the party, telling the party what to do, because you are giving them money. And you bring money and you check them into Hilton, you do all the things you want to do. And because most people, I have my business, most people, I don't want to go into that, but we all need, money is needed too much in Nigeria. I don't know what we need them for so many things. So you find that the governors now become too powerful. But the parties must be strong. Once a party is strong, a governor, you can now hold the governor accountable and say, Oga, those things you told us when you came to power, you're not doing them. And they can't suddenly turn and say, find this man, 20 million, let him go. No, what am I doing with your 20 million? What I came to say is that this is not the deal.
But, okay, the strength of the parties, who determines the strength of the party?
The party.
The party itself.
The party should.
And its members.
And its members. And the strength of, because if you as a national chairman are not doing your job, they will vote you out the next time.
Okay.
Or they will hold you accountable. And then the party now should be able to stand and hold accountable the elected officers that they have sponsored. We sponsors, I'm the national chairman of the party. If we sponsor you for the governor of your state, we have sponsored you. You are responsible to us to live to that thing we told.
When NewsNight returns, we ask Chief Njoku, what's the way forward? Do we say there is no way around all of this? All right, Chief Njoku, thank you again for speaking with us on NewsNight. Our conversation so far has been very interesting. You've narrowed it down, or you spent the bulk of time looking at Anambra State as an example. And maybe because you played your local politics there. And again, but I'll take you back to something we mentioned earlier, and I want us to look at what local government administration should look like. Because my friend Ayo will tell you that the reason why the nation is the way it is because the local government is a mess. Now the Supreme Court's given us local government autonomy. There are those who are kicking that it will not work because some local governments don't have internet-generated revenue. They may not be able to pay certain bills. So how is it that it worked then? So much so that it's in the Constitution, the things they should do and what they should have. And now a lot of people think it will not work.
It's a very good question. If you notice, I thought about it as well. And I told you that I was quite close to a council chairman at a point in time. And as things are going from bad to worse in Nigeria, the excessiveness of politicians are becoming more and more. Years gone by, you see a council chairman. I give you an example. My first son was the director of strategy for the last Prime Minister of England. He doesn't have a car. He uses a bicycle. He's 33. He was an SA to Cameron, PA to Cameron. From there, he became the CEO of British Music. From there, he took him, Sunak took him to be his director of strategy, not of media. Because when you talk about it, maybe black people, of a strategy of a conservative party, which is a party that you know predominantly as a conservative party. He uses a bicycle. He's paid well. Lives are simple, but a local government chairman, Nigeria started moving on from, we started becoming very excessive. You see someone who doesn't have a job, he doesn't have anything, and he's driving a very big car. He's drinking a 300,000 naira bottle of wine that he doesn't even know why that wine is sold for 300,000. He doesn't even know why. He doesn't even know why the wine is poured into a glass to taste it. Thinks it's tasting. He doesn't know whether it's corked or something. We've just lost our basic. And as the days go by, our fabrics are eroded. Children, if you go to church in England, children walk gently out. In a file, people walk. Come here at the end of this, you see everybody running like mad people. You see people giving children biscuits, drinks within while they are in church. You see that we've lost the moral fabric of Nigeria. It's not just in the politics, in the society, the erosion is very, very high. So you find out that a council chairman who is being put there for the wrong reasons, maybe there's a godfather, maybe it's an appointment, like the way they want to do this local government election, and hasn't gone through a proper rudiment of checks that this must be somebody who can serve the people. Half of the money of that local government will not go to where it needs to go. And you find out that salaries will not be. And that was one of the reasons why they now put them under governors so that they'll be checked properly. That was one of the reasons why they did that. But the problem is the internal democracy of the parties. If the internal democracy in the party is well and functional, then you see that the caliber of people who run for elections will be different. Completely different. And the war we've been fighting in Anambra State and in Africa for the past 5 years is because they want control so that their thugs and their boys will cover those areas, House of Assembly, Federal House, Chairman. When all those thugs are covering those areas, how could you have good governance? How can you? How really can you? So Nigerians will get with keep on. Look at where your problems are coming from. Internal democracy of parties. Once it's not there, the fabric of is gone.
One would think that the Independent National Electoral Commission is the regulator of the political parties.
Yeah.
Even though membership is free of charge, but there's a regulator who checks to ensure that you're following your constitution.
Yeah.
The INEC doesn't give you a constitution, it's your constitution.
Yeah.
So INEC just wants to see that you're following that constitution, which it signed off on, right?
Yeah.
So what does the umpire then do? Is it all about waiting for 4 years to come and run elections? Or he can once in a while say, hello, political parties, things are going south. This is what you said you were going to do in your constitution as a party. This is what you said you do for the people, but you're not doing it. Does that happen?
You see, it is, there's an Igbo adage I use a lot, which is, no mama before apuanama, which says, you've got to be looking good from inside before you can come to the outside. Whatever great job INEC would need to do is starting from themselves. And whatever good job the political party is starting from, it is so difficult even for INEC in Nigerian context to be able to have any kind of influence. Because I give you an example. If we want to give out, we're doing elections of local government, we know who the traditional ruler is of that area. We know who the PG is. We know a few people in that areas. We'll be more capable of asking more questions. Where do INEC start from? And all INEC can do is what they can do in the political party, is what they see. They can't go beyond what they see. If I'm answering your question rightly. INEC, things in Nigeria are too bogus at the moment, so it's difficult to handle.
When you say bogus, I was specific when I talked about the constitution of the political parties.
Yes.
And in that constitution, it talks about how certain people will emerge for different positions, who will contest for different positions. INEC is the regulator.
Let me give you an example about APGA.
Okay.
In 2019, when we were about to start when the Njoku in APGA was beginning of this mine, we'd gone to INEC and put in all the documents were there. Suddenly, all the documents in the file disappear. So from 2019, 17th of June, till beginning of APGA, there's nothing in the file of INEC. Are you going to go and blame the INEC chairman? He's not. He didn't steal the documents, but some corrupt people there have aligned with some other corrupt people to make sure that they are going to deal with Njoku and all the files are missing. That's Nigeria. So it is so difficult for. So when you're talking about, if there's been underhand business, all the underhand business has gone in one fell swoop.
So are you implying that there is no way out of this mess?
The way out is that internal democracy whereby...
How do we even get to that?
Within that party, things start getting so that when the INEC themselves are not doing things as well, you can call them out. And because the party is the party that belongs to the people, for the people, then it's near impossible to rig a place that is not porous. A place that people, if we are all here and we want you to be, you can't rig that place.
Mr. Njoku.
Chief Njoku.
The internal democracy of the party cannot happen without a constitution, right?
Yes.
And the parties all have constitutions.
We all have constitutions.
So how is it then that internal party democracy does not happen?
You know why I smile then? I love the way you keep talking about the constitution. Nigeria has a constitution. Does it not? And we can see how things are moving in Nigeria as well. What I'm saying is that small conclave, that small area, once it's run well, once the running of that place is okay, you are the ones inviting the INEC now to look at this area that when the house with the constitution is in chaos, when INEC come in, what are they going to be doing? When that house that has the perfect constitution is in chaos, all they need to do is to maybe give somebody some money to bend his eye this way when the other thing is being done.
Again, we're back to that same question. So everybody in that house, how is it that the house goes chaotic when you have a document that's supposed to guide your operation?
It is when that thing happens, is like when, and it's in the Bible as well, when the houseboy, if you come to this house and we have a houseboy here, he's now made the Oga, and the Oga is sitting on.
Who makes him the Oga? Is it that document?
When a governor of a state now decides that the House of Assembly should appoint the council chairman and not the party, and endorsed by
I don't get a point. There's a primaries. The party's supposed to run primaries, right?
If you see my hand, the primaries will be done, and he will now sign to make sure everything went well. The chairman and secretary of the party sign to make sure everything that primaries went well. If a primaries has not gone well, I will not sign off on it. So it's a national chairman that it will be brought to me that the primaries in Anambra have been done well. Or let's not talk about Anambra, let's talk about Akwa Ibom. That the primaries of Akwa Ibom is done well. If there is no crisis there, when it comes, I'll sign off and the secretary will sign off. And that is the party. We are the hierarchy of the party. Mm-hmm. When a law is now put in a state by a governor, that who signs off for that are the House of Assembly members that were already questioning. That's the law in Anambra now, that those chairmen who are going to be appointed will not be signed by the party, but will be signed by the
who is sponsoring the chairman? Is it the party or the?
It's meant to be the party. It's meant to be the party, but they've now said that the states will do the primaries, and the
state chapter of the party will do the party.
Not of the party, because it's not our state chapter. A state chairman that he has agreed is his, but as long as it's signed off by the House of Assembly members, then it's okay. You see how confusing
is that in the constitution of the party?
It's not.
And of course, if we're going
not even in the constitution of Nigeria, it's not.
Okay, so do you think INEC? Well, INEC.
He is in control of state.
The state.
That's the term I'm talking about.
So,
see how it confused you.
in all of these things, when we started, I asked you the question of, I asked you to walk us through Nigeria's politics.
Yeah.
Who is the problem, or what is the problem with Nigeria's politics? Is it the political parties or the politicians? How do we redeem democracy and politics in Nigeria?
The emperors who are controlling a big fund of money, and they can influence the House of Assembly. They can influence, they can tell us that they are going to one court to give big money, or they are going there to give money. It's the emperors. I don't want you to lie me against a very major cabal. The emperors who are in control of state funds. And we pray to God that that God will help for the Supreme Court to remove this state INEC, and so that if that local government funds go to another, so the amount of chess fund they have to play all this shenanigans will end.
But now that the Supreme Court has done that, and
ISEC, the state assemblies are there for them to play this one that confused you here now.
No, I'm saying that now that the Supreme Court has said funds should go directly to the local government.
Yeah.
So the state governors don't have access to those funds again.
What we're saying now is that.
So does that mean that?
Sorry, sir. With all due respect, that game is still at play. When you see a law passed that the House of Assembly are the ones to sign off candidates, can you not see that they're now trying to do what the more you look, the less you see, whereby they could now rubber stamp, the party cannot decide, and they can now bring your houseboy and say, this your money is 200 million a month, or you're going to be getting is 10 million. Do you want to be chairman? The man will throw his hat and say, I will be chairman. Then you keep 450 million and give him 10 million every month and be saying, yes sir, no sir, yes sir, man, Friday. That's the game. When things are allowed to be done properly, the possibility of that happening, yes, it can happen, but it's a lot less. But when you go and get a House of Assembly to sign off what a political party should do, you have something behind your mind.
Chief Njoku, again, I'll bring you back. Are you saying there is no hope?
There's so much hope. So much.
So let's talk solution now. Let's walk through the solution. What would be the solution across the country? Because this matter we're talking about is across the country. Every state has an independent electoral commission, which is not necessarily
First and foremost, I believe that with what's happened in Anambra now, where it's opened up clearly that fraud is there and it's been shown how a governor wants to use it. I don't want to mention how it's going to play out. There's no way that thing would not go to. There's a bill, I read somewhere something, where they're trying to create something separate from INEC that can now be a national thing that conducts election. That will solve that problem. But local government elections are not the only problems we have in Nigeria. We're talking about insecurity, and all these things have grown bigger than even federal government. It's been going on for so long, but Rome was not built in a day. If we solve local government issues, the next thing the country would not need to address it. How do we address insecurity? Because that's the worst one. If no matter how much people find it difficult really to come into this country to do business the way people used to come into Nigeria. But gradually these things will be addressed.
You know, when you say when we solve the local government issues, then we'll now solve insecurity.
No, I didn't say that. I'm not the president.
No. Wait.
I'm sorry.
Because there are huge challenges everywhere. There's also hunger.
No, yeah. I was just saying.
The farms are empty.
I was just being, I'm just saying.
And we're coming back there. Now, what I'm asking now is, the question I asked before we went to this was, how do we get the individual politician who appears to be the problem of Nigeria's democracy and politics to change his ways?
Change his mindset as well.
How can we get that to happen? The Supreme Court has helped us to separate local government from the state government. But some states are trying to work around that.
Yeah.
Now, we still have issues of insecurity. We have hunger. And all of these things, as someone said before we got to this place, that Nigeria can actually pay every citizen well enough, a welfare package that they may not necessarily get cash, but they know that this thing comes to them every month. And Nigeria will not be broke.
But
the politicians are fighting and not letting that happen. So how do we get the politicians to change?
You know, I've said it, and I might start sounding like a crack record. Most of this money that comes to the politicians come from when you talk about politicians, someone is giving, either they are stealing it outright, then we need to block those areas of stealing, create ways of blocking the areas, which I'm not in the executive side of government. They will now know how to do that. Because I believe anyone who goes in to contest an election sometimes truly means well. But when they get into that system, the corruption level is so high. Forget about the politics, even the civil servants. When a governor comes in, a minister comes in, it is normally civil servants that come to give him the lowdown on how things are done. And it boils back down to, we're always looking at, we need to look at ourselves first. I said when you're in the church, if you check when we were much younger, there was a little bit more orderliness. Even in church, people don't eat food or drink while we did not die. And you see that the culture is changing. There's no discipline. People say, no, you people are not this, they do. But they are more disciplined. Watch them come. Just go into a church anywhere abroad and you see how orderly they live. Children will be running from here and there and there. Doing the reactions people do are so different. We need to probably move 2 steps back and look at ourselves and know that those leaders we are talking about are products of the system. You're talking about both the civil servants, the clerks, the drivers. All of them are so corrupt. The corruption level in Nigeria is endemic within our system.
I like the fact that you're emphasizing it for APGA. But APGA is within a society. And as you said, whoever you see there is a reflection of a society around. So what do we do with our society? How do we change and reorientate our society?
I've been with my NWC now for nearly 4.5 years. I'm so proud when I see them, when I see how they react. I'm so proud when I see how they have evolved in that period of time. And I'm telling you that Nigeria, with the right directions, and you see Africa, the way it will change. I keep saying it, within the next 9 months, you will see that when people see things are working, they'll jump on the bandwagon. The things are they just feel that everything is done anyhow. A small ray of light will go a long way in Nigeria. Just watch that. We'll go a very long way.
Before we go, let's come back again to the nation as a whole. The state of the politics right now, the state of the nation as it is. The economy is horrible.
Yeah.
It's biting. We just came out of protests, a season of protests, and it was across the country.
Yes.
Fortunately for us, there wasn't much of this in the southeast, but in other parts of the country, there were protests. Some turned violent, and some did not. What do you think could have been done differently?
Protests are things that is our fundamental right that we must stand up and say our mind or express ourselves, as long as it's not violent. So people that protest, and protests of different types. I was watching something where some people from the Southeast said that their own protest is not working, but staying indoors, eating big chicken. I saw it on somebody sent it to me. Now, it's a method of protest. You understand? People will protest the way they seem best, fits to themselves, to be able to make a statement. You understand? And protest, it should be part of democracy.
But was there something that could have been done to ensure that the protests don't even happen?
Everywhere. That's why I started in England. Everywhere. There's nothing government can do that all of us will be happy. But Nigeria needs a bit of it as well, to remind our leaders that we're not satisfied with the future, as long as we're doing it within the gambits of the law.
Well, let's look at what the leaders say they've been doing so far.
Okay.
Palliatives here, economic policies, foreign policies, and all of that they've worked on to see that things change. What's your assessment?
If you notice at the beginning, I said that when a leader is put into a position, you're giving him a 4-year period to do whatever he feels, because you've given him that mandate, you've given him the permission to represent you, to do and to make it better for you. Then where Nigerians should look better is to say, no problem, we've given you. And then if you've given the person is not working, next time you don't give him. That's the way I look at it. That's why I always say to everyone, no militant or that the ballot box is the strongest strength of any area. That you must know that is your democracy that will give you what you want. You've got to guide it carefully. You've got to make sure it's not selfish, selfless. You must deal that thing, that voting you're voting. You must know that is your mouth. When you lose that, then you really don't have anything to come in the middle and start talking anything, because you just got to wait for that term to come. Because maybe some magic will happen along 3 years and everything changes. So you started talking 2 years, but it's too early. Allow them to finish, and then we can now jump.
So if you had the opportunity to talk to Nigerians, what would you be saying to Nigerians?
I'll say to Nigerians to organize themselves, to be talk less. We know we talk too much. Talk less, and be more patriotic to the country. We're not patriotic at all. We're very selfish. I told someone that if a corrupt minister comes down into this room and we are 10 and tells us that he's looking for somebody to bring a bank account so that we transfer the money they are meant to give to the disabled people into your account and we'll share it, 9 out of 10 will bring their bank and go to their wives and tell them to pray that God is going to bless them very soon. Understand? And when he misses out on that and they catch the man, you say that man is a criminal. Even in our mindsets, we're all fraudulent by nature. We should expunge some of these things from our minds.
How do we do that?
Nigeria must renew their minds.
Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Interesting conversations, but these conversations never end. It's just that this particular one has to end at this point. We can still continue on our social media platforms. Our handles are right there on your screen. Send us a mail, send us a tweet, and let's hear what you have to say. But also, you can also watch this program again. Go to youtube.com/channelsweb to get started, or channelstv.com/podcast and get a feel of all the conversations we've had. The playlist is right there. But we'll bring you a fresh edition of the program soon. Till then, bye-bye.